What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Creed of Crypto podcast. How you doing? I am Broke Boi Crypto. I have here with me, as always, my friend and co-host, Crypto Ewok. We've got a great show for you tonight. We got Bitcoin ETF approval, not approval. We're going to talk about that. Telegraph with an interesting tweet on Monday that set the crypto Twitterverse ablaze. We're going to get into that. We have a pinned tweet for you tonight. We want to make sure anybody that is here, we know our friend Richard Hart has been tweeting about the IRS and did my camera just go out again?
Yep.
Shoot. The IRS and SEC to leave comments for. So we have a pinned tweet there so you guys know where to do that if you have not had a chance to do it yet. So we have that in there for you as well. We're going to talk about what will the PulseChain ecosystem look like price-wise if this Bitcoin ETF gets approved anytime soon, as well as other altcoins too. So all that and a whole lot more. Some big news tonight. If you are getting into the show here on your way in, do us a favor, hit the like. We appreciate that. Sub to the channel as well. We do the show every single Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ewok, how are you feeling this evening?
Feeling good. Lovely to see some green candles and makes the week go a little bit better.
It at least makes it feel like there is maybe light at the end of this tunnel. I don't know exactly when or where, but we're going to get into specifically what I'm sure a lot of people are interested in too, which is the pump of HEX, which is fantastic right now. Of all the things to pump this hard, I think that is the coolest one. So we're going to get into that. So hit us up in the chat. Philly, what's going on? You got the Phils are 2 games away from a World Series appearance, actually. So congrats to you guys. We'll see what goes on there. You got the Eagles are undefeated. I don't know shit about the 76ers or Flyers, but we'll leave that up to you. So let's get into it here. BTC and ETH. So the whole market, obviously, with that pump on Monday with the fake coin Telegraph tweet. And they punched up to 30K Bitcoin, basically. There was a godlike green wick that just went straight up and then right back down shortly after the news ended up being false. I think there was, a good 20 or 30-minute period where that tweet was out there with unsubstantiated sources or anything like that before it came crashing back down. What do you make? I'm not really concerned with I guess we can talk about the price movement and what it may mean and what it might look like when the ETF actually gets approved. Not something we're necessarily rooting for. I'd actually rather there not be ETFs, but nature of the beast, that's just where we are now. What do you think, Ewok? First off, other than it just being comical or maybe very sinister, I don't know what was going on with the Telegraph people, but what do you make of that story? And then what do you make of the price action? And do you think maybe that maybe not as quick time frame, but something like that could even happen when the actual ETF is approved? What do you think will happen then? But first off, let's go back to the weird coin Telegraph thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, was it, the big question is, was it sinister or not? Was there some source that they rely on that heard something and got the facts wrong? Whatever. I mean, it's hard to say, but it clearly shows what can happen in a matter of minutes when something like that is announced. So, it was a very bullish sign. And it only lasted for, you're right, it was about a half hour, I think. And then it pulled all the way back down. So, what happens in the first couple hours of that news being actually announced? I think it's very bullish for Bitcoin and for the rest of crypto as well. You lost your camera again, by the way. But, it's pretty exciting. I just think it's exciting that, we see this kind of movement and the whole market just sets ablaze. It will trigger down to other things. Obviously, the rest of the crypto market, as we always say, the rising tide will lift all the boats. And especially with Ethereum being tied so heavily to Bitcoin price, with the liquidity pairs, it's a very bullish sign for the entire market. So where we got you, it keeps dropping off. So, but anyway, so again, I think it's bullish. We'll have to see how this all plays out when the news actually does, but it could really lead into a good pump before the halvening. We know once the halvening happens, that there will be probably another sell-off at that point as well. So
yeah,
get your affairs in order there.
I hope so. I don't know what the hell is going on tonight, but yes, I think I heard most of what you said anyway. So yeah, I don't know what exactly was going on with the coin telegraph thing. I mean, you'd like to think that it wasn't something sinister, but I think we're all just kind of already programmed that things like that do happen and suspect the worst. Maybe it was just an overeager person. I don't know what it was. But what I was going to say, Ewok, and apologies if you were kind of getting into this, but I do wonder when this thing actually does get approved, if we don't see something similar. Like, I don't think we're going to necessarily just blast through 30K and it's off to the, like, you saw Twitter the other day. Everybody was like, oh yeah, bull market's on. And, and it was cool. I mean, it was nice to get something other than, absolutely terrible news for once.
Right.
Especially in the midst of everything going on right now. But I don't know that it's just going to be this like crazy blast through. I mean, maybe slowly and gradually, kind of like we've been seeing, maybe we get up to like a 35K, towards the end of the year or something. But I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I think we did at least see that people are really eager for this. People are going to FOMO into the market stupidly when this happens. I sent you, I'm not going to say who it was, but a big account's tweet the other day that was like, damn it, I FOMO'd in and look what happened to me. And I'm thinking, like, why the hell are you not already all in at this point?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think like everybody's looking for it. So many people are looking for it to be like such a crazily bullish event. This year, I think it's already in the cards that we're not going to go anywhere crazy. I mean, it would be, I would be happy to see 35K by the end of the year for Bitcoin. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think the ETF approval is going to send the market to the crazy points that some people do. Do you agree with that, or where are you at on that?
Well, I mean, clearly, look what happened in a matter of a half hour. I don't know how far that would have, how far that would have run had the news been accurate. But it was a good start. I mean, it went from basically 27 up to 30 within 20 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's bullish. I think we could get above 30 and hold there. How far above that it goes, I could see 32 to 35 in the cards by the end of the year. I think we've been calling that, along the way, but it would be a slow, steady rise. You would have a lot of, businesses getting involved as well once that ETF goes. So, and don't forget the premium to the grayscale is getting closer as well. So you're no longer buying it on a discount, major discount like you were before, which means people are actually going to be buying the spot instead once that closes even further.
So let's get into that, because the Coin Telegraph gaffe on Monday kind of distracted from the news about this that we were going to initially talk about, and that was on Friday of last week. The SEC does not appeal the loss in the Grayscale case. So that's why the news potentially on Monday that was fake in the end was so interesting, because it was like, okay, so the SEC takes yet another one on the chin because they are corrupt and have no idea what they're doing, and lose again in another crypto battle, admit defeat. And then it looked like on Monday, oh my goodness, we're actually getting the approval now. Well, that was not actually the case. But let's talk about what did happen, though, on Friday. They didn't appeal the Grayscale case, higher possibility anyway of the GBTC ETF being approved. Let me ask you, when it comes to the SEC, do you think they're starting to give up on some of their crypto challenges at this point? I mean, they're a cockroach at this point. They do not go away. Like Oprah, as we always say, you win a prize, you get a prize, you get a prize. They're suing everybody. So do you think this is the start of them, curling up in defeat? Is it the start of Gensler getting out of there? What do you think? Or was this just plainly, hey, the writing's on the wall, we're not going to appeal this one, even though they appealed the Ripple case and got shut down on that too?
Well, I think a lot of it is the judges that are involved. I'm sure they're telling them, don't waste your time. At least I would hope so. They're, or the lawyers that are involved are being advised to to back off and you know, not press if they can't get a win the first time. I think the writing has been on the wall how unhappy people are with Gensler.
Right.
And, you know, like you said, they're just throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks. Well, that doesn't really work in the courts because they're wasting quite a lot of people's time, taxpayer money. They're wasting a lot of things. And I think they've been advised that, you know, if they do lose, let's not appeal these things. Let's listen to what the jury says and go from there. So I think that's kind of where we're at as far as that goes. And if the timer, well, we'll talk about that later, but yeah, I just hope things kind of fizzle out. They've lost a lot of steam. They've lost a lot of trust, I guess. I don't know that they ever had a whole lot of
Yeah, I don't know
trust,
if they
but
had that. Yeah.
but respect as far as protecting people goes, it's quite clear that they're really not doing that. So yeah, I hope the writing's on the wall, and I hope things kind of fizzle out. They realize that what a waste of time it's been.
Well, I do think they're losing credibility, which I think is maybe the best word for with the
Yeah,
judges and stuff, like you said. I mean, after all, we always talk about it like, yeah, they're judges, but they are also human, and they see, you know, what has been going on with the SEC. I think you made a great point, Ewok. Yeah, it's all fine and dandy to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. But when judges see that pattern of behavior from you, and it's just like, you guys are here every month with something else. You list like you just went on Coin Market Cap and listed the top 10 by, coins by, uh, market cap and just said they're all securities, and then you sue this person, that person, this person. So I mean, anybody that has an in crypto, maybe not anybody, but almost everyone who has an action against them in crypto from the SEC, I mean, you might as well wipe your ass with it. I don't know at this point, like what it means. But yeah, interesting to see them not appeal it. So we'll see when the ETF does come. Now you have that grayscale discount up, and you can see how much that has crept up, especially, you know, over the last couple of weeks and everything. But talk a bit, Ewok, about, I know Richard Hart has talked for a long time about how that is a very good leading indicator of where the market is going. And he was using it kind of on the way down a couple of
yeah.
years ago. And now we're going the other direction. So, yeah, what do you make of it?
Well, you know, from July 27th, or was the last big, I guess it was at 30% discount. We are all the way to 13.5%. So, you know, the closer this gets to not being a discount and turning into a premium, you know, that's essentially what drives the bull market is the prices. You know, people will buy spot then instead of this. But you know, when you can buy anything at a discount, people like sales. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a hard concept to figure out. You know, if I can get my Bitcoin at a 25% discount rather than buying it on the open market, it'd be just like buying gold at discount. So
Right.
same thing. You know, and the closer we get to zero, the closer we are for takeoff. And I think, you know, that could be within the next month or so, based on the rate of decline that this is seeing right now.
I am with you, and I mean, to kind of the greater point of everything right now. So obviously, I mean, nobody here is missing it, I'm sure, but the ongoing international tensions, conflict that we're having, obviously, you know, everyone in terms of looking at the markets are in total doom mode. I mean, saying that a recession is inevitable. In crypto, everybody's talking up stable coins and stuff. I think the bankless Soy Boys the other day had on a couple of people that were all pumping up stable coins and stuff like that. Um, as we know, I mean, like when everybody is in one direction with something in these markets, they're typically wrong. So I get it. I understand. We're all programmed for over 2 years now to think everything is just death, doom, and destruction and everything. And I understand, you know, assigning things that are going on in the world right now to why it's going to continue. But I don't know, man. When everybody's kind of gearing up for that, Bitcoin follows the Bitcoin cycle. Like that's just kind of what has been happening, you know,
Yeah.
in crypto. So what do you make of everybody being so bearish still right now? And I'm talking about, I mean, like today, I forget the exact headline, and it could have just been clickbait, but I subscribe to the Robert Kiyosaki podcast on Spotify, who obviously is great. But he had whatever the title of the episode was basically, how do we prepare for like a massive stock market crash or something to that effect? So, well, the financialization of the economy causes stock market crash and depression. So, I mean, everybody's talking about that. Tom Bilyeu, the other week we had that insanely bullish Arthur Hayes interview that was on there, but that episode was titled like, "What do you do to plan for the depression?" and all this. So, yeah. What do you make? I mean, I think we are going up. It's very unfortunate. We've talked about it before. How war usually means money is printed. We're nearing a huge election in the U.S. We have, well, I'm not going to go that far. But yeah, what do you make of what's going on right now and how the market may go?
Oh, I feel the same. I feel the same. We talked about it a lot last week about how wars actually do print money. We're giving money to these other countries. Well, we're not pulling it out of the savings account. They're printing more money. So that means inflation. In turn, businesses like the ones we talked about, Halliburton's and the Lockheed Martins and Raytheons and Boeing and all of these major companies are going to be pumping money back into the economy. Yes, the ultra rich will get richer. That's kind of how it works. And you lost your camera again.
Go ahead.
But yeah, so it is bullish, and when you're lulled to sleep for, like you said, 2 years with this decline of prices across the board. And then it does happen, it becomes that disbelief type situation. And, I think that's kind of where we're entering into. Doesn't mean there won't be a couple pullbacks. There won't be some sells, and, it's got to even back out on the way up before the true bull market really does start, after the halvening. But yeah, it's the same until it isn't, right? I mean, history may not repeat itself, but it's always very close. And until it does something different, I'm going to assume that we're still in another 4-year cycle. Yes, the macro of the country could play a part of that, but we just kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'll work on the camera thing, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I understand why everybody's in like bearish mode and stuff like right now, but I mean, the fact that everybody is just makes me more bullish in what is going on. Yeah. So yeah, we'll monitor what's going on internationally. I mean, it doesn't look like anything's getting any better, certainly, of course. So we'll just continue to look at that. So what's this comment from Tin Top here?
Richard Hart is the exterminator for the infestation of the SEC and the crypto market.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, we've got a pest control, Richard Hart, coming in here, so I dig it for sure. And yeah, to that point, guys, hit up the pinned tweet tonight. So we have the SEC ruling, the IRS ruling that you can both click the link, submit your comments on. The SEC one is in the pinned tweet. I could not fit both of them in the pinned tweet, so find them throughout the chat. I'll put them in there kind of throughout the night. But let's look at actually the PulseChain ecosystem prices right now, because in addition to, so we just covered like Bitcoin and ETH and everything, we have some interesting things to really check out here, because if you have been awake for any period of time for the last 48 hours, we have seen that HEX on ETH, EHEX, the classic, our first love, has been pumping hardcore. Just a mega green candle. The whole ecosystem, of course, pumped on like the fake coin Telegraph tweet. But I mean, this ecosystem has pretty much stayed up since then. And EHEX the most. I mean, it's up like 50%, I think, from the low practically. So we've had EHEX do that. What is going on here, Ewok? I got to ask you. I mean, like, is it one whale? Is it a couple of whales? Who's doing this right now is the first part of my question. Then I want to get back to how everybody has been hating on EHEX for months and months now. But yeah, what do you think is happening here? Why is it just mainly EHEX?
If you don't know or haven't heard, there is one particular whale that has slowly and quietly accumulated about 300 million EHEX within the past couple weeks or so. Now, these are dailies, so maybe it wasn't even that long, but They were buying very slowly, methodically, small buys, because there isn't a whole lot of liquidity right now. I mean, if you look at this, you only see there's 122 ETH and about 46 million hex. Now, this is, I believe this is probably V2 on Uniswap. Yeah, it's Uniswap V2. So I'm sure there's others that have some, if you're using some sort of balancer or anything like that to search for the best the routes to buy. But anyway, this person has spent a lot more. The speculation was that they were out and not going to buy a whole bunch more. Possibly people are still afraid of the Bank X sell, but you have to remember they only have 800 million. This guy just bought 300 within the last however many days. So there is money on the sideline. And if Bank X decides to get out, um, people are really afraid of that. I don't think there's a need to be afraid of it. Whenever the adoption amplifier happened at the very beginning of Hex, the very first day, there was 1 billion Hex released. And then every day after that, for 362 or 3 days, there was 500 million a day. So the market absorbed that kind of volume, not really concerned about BankX dumping the price. In fact, I would welcome it to buy up some of those, nice discounts. But you can see what happens when there isn't a whole lot of liquidity. Now, as the price goes up, liquidity will get added. It's kind of a natural balance type thing. As people start to see more action, it will go up. Now, it'll come back down pretty fast too, but the green candles turn people into buyers instead of sellers. So, for the most part, and I just think that's what's going on. So there's one whale that's kind of been, like I said, accumulating slowly, putting this price up, and then there was just another 100 and some Ethereum moved into his wallet. So he's either preparing to buy more or preparing possibly to defend a price. So that's kind of what happens when you see some green candles like this. They reload and they defend the price that they bought at. They don't want to see it go below that, obviously, where they're in, where they're at a loss. They want to defend prices, and hopefully people continue to buy. And if not, then they'll buy more and create another green candle, and then they'll put more on the side, dry powder, to defend that price too. That's just kind of how the markets go at this point in the cycle. So I think that's where we're at. I think people are really nervous about an entity that can sell. But as we've seen before, I think there's that whale or a couple whales with any coin that you have, and people are afraid of it for no reason, because Satoshi could sell, or you've got the Binance coin that they own 95%, if not more, of their coin that they could dump. So there's always that situation in a market, in any coin, that somebody could dump. Now, will they? Who knows? But like I said, I would be happy to scoop up prices after we're seeing what's happening now. I think it would create a nice little buying frenzy.
Any entity cannot stop the bull market like that, unless maybe you're like FTX and all the collusion that went on there trying to suppress the BTC price under 20K. But yeah, this kind of entity, it's one of those things like, as Rage Against the Machine would say, know your enemy. Like, we know the Bank X entity, but in no way am I going to act as if, like, if you're somebody who's DCAing long term for this coming bull market, why are you going to worry about like what may or may not happen in this short term that much? I mean, I understand wanting to catch the bottom. You're never going to catch the nut bottom. The timing of all this big buy here, makes a lot of sense to me, though, and not just because we knew that 0.3 of a penny was like a major point of support for Hex, and it's been hanging out there for a few weeks. So I mean that price makes a lot of sense. But I think also the timing here, there's lots of different bullish things happening. This big buy comes in right when the ETF approval false tweet happens. I mean, everybody that isn't an idiot, I think, is starting to like see that the tide is turning here. The ship is just starting to, turn its mast a little wee bit and turn this whole thing around. It's going to take a while, but it's starting to go. And I think people are realizing that.
Yeah. Well, you look back here you mentioned the 0.003 level. It's intersected quite a few times. And I think we talked about this before where, back here in June of 2020, it actually was support. It went up and then it broke through and then it became resistance and it became resistance and then it broke through again and then it was support. So it's this level is a very critical, solid level, with a lot of current resistance right now. But hopefully, like I said, once we get through it, which we are right now, we've busted through that and we're up to the 0.004 level. Hopefully we can come back down and maybe hit that as support and go on further. That would be ideal situation for what we're looking at now.
Well, it would make a lot of sense too. I mean, just for how much this move has been, how crazy it's been. And what do you say also to some of the people? I mean, like, I wonder if anybody feels caught offside at this point. Maybe not yet, because we still have the two hexes having about a 2-to-1 difference here, which is closing the gap. It was more than that, but Hex on PulseChain is at about 0.8 of a penny, and then Hex on ETH obviously is at 0.4 now, a little bit above those numbers. But do you think people are going to start to feel offside? I mean, like, imagine if and when that gap actually closes, if we do ever see, parity again, or if we do in this bull market. I mean, people, this is what I don't understand. Sami was talking about it the other day. Anybody with a brain, I think, understands this. But when you go out of your way to, and I think people overuse FUD and I get sick of it, but like when you go out of your way on your own to FUD EHEX, like, why do you not understand that you're hurting the whole ecosystem? Like, why make video after video after video saying that, a hex on Ethereum is dead and all this stuff? Like, when people, no matter what, and this is a great point Sami is making too, it doesn't matter how much we bitch about it, we're not going to get out of this, I don't think. But mainstream crypto people, at least not until maybe 2025, they're not going to stop retweeting and showing the EHEX chart to refer to this ecosystem.
Right.
They don't even know or care about PulseChain. They certainly don't care about PulseX. I don't even think they likely know that there's a hex copy on PulseChain. We all know all this stuff, and we know that, like, if we wanted to add up this whole ecosystem as still one token and look at a chart, we could. We see Axis Alive always tweeting out the combined hex price, which is cool to see. But you're not going to see those big channels, if and when they ever talk about hex, show anything other than the EHEX chart. That's what they're going to do, regardless of what anybody thinks. And, like, for marketing purposes or like wanting people to get into the ecosystem, if they just see that, they're not going to like it. So that's why I think it's important that we do talk about this whole thing and stop anybody, if they ever were talking about hex on ETH as being negative. Like, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed with it. It's still an immutable smart contract that you can run just like you could any other time. There's been a stock split, and the money that had just been in hex has kind of dispersed to the whole ecosystem. There's still a whole new bull market to come. So I just don't understand why people are acting like something has changed on that. So
I'll tell you why they're acting that way. It's because they decided that they would probably sell and move all into one. People yell loudly about the bag that they hold the most, and that's kind of how it goes. I got into it with somebody earlier in the week about, they were saying somebody that's been in the hex community a long, long time from the very beginning, not really around a whole lot, well, streaming wise anyway, but making comments about how EHEX is dead and this and that. And I know they were a big holder in the beginning. They were around then. And it just, I don't understand it either. Like, it is by all means probably going to be, like you said, the people, the influencers, the mainstream people will talk about hex being EHEX. And, it's the closest to the off ramp. Well, that's why it sold one of the heaviest, probably, is because it was right there. Uniswap, boom, out to your account. And, people get weird when it talks about bridging. And, now that the Coast token is out, we do have a natural fiat on ramp, but we didn't have that. So,
Right.
the things that are closer to the exit ramp are also closer to the on ramp. And you have to remember that when money comes in, some of these big whales, they hold Ethereum. That's what they hold. And it could go right back in just as easy it came back out. So to answer your question, I think we could close that gap with the ratio quite a bit. I would love to see it get back to 1-to-1.
Man.
I
Yeah.
think it would be
That'd be nuts.
amazing. And I think at that point there will be a lot of liquidity that gets re-added to that pair, because why wouldn't you want to hold both? I mean, for that reason only, there's really not impermanent loss. If you like both coins and you put both sides in, you're going to have very little impermanent loss. And if you don't
Mhm.
care which one you hold, it's great for providing liquidity, because you're making fees on people bouncing back and forth. It's a great deal, I think. But again, we'd have to get to that that ratio of 1-to-1 again. I think it would piss a lot of people off that said, it's got to die because, well, and I get it. Richard built PulseChain for the reason of the Ethereum fees being too high. Well, if you look at the gas prices recently, I think it's already done that. Now the bear market has contributed as well,
Mhm.
but we're looking at, like, even right now, it's like seven,
Yeah, I
seven
know.
Gwei. So it's been crazy good recently. Um, and if they fix the fees, if they fix the problem, and it goes back to being not too bad, then what's the I don't know. I just don't get it. Again, I hate picking sides like that, because there's always a chance you're going to be wrong. When you keep both, you, you've kind of
You had your
gone,
bet.
you hedged it. Yeah, you hedged
Yeah.
everything by doing that, and you didn't really lose anything. So I don't know. It's just my opinion, but again, I would love to see it get back to 1-to-1 and just take off, and liquidity be provided to where it will peg it together, and keep it that way. Or the arbitrage bots will step in, and they could make some money off of it too. So that's just where I
Yeah.
see us going.
Yeah, and especially, why would you be hedging your bets and trying to be so fine about it? I mean, maybe because it's the bear market and everything sucks balls, but
Sure.
when you're expecting everything, I mean, look at the numbers that people throw out as far as like what they think this ecosystem could pump. I mean, the worst you'll see is like a 30x from here.
Yeah.
Why would you be so careful about what you're investing, try like only buying one or the other when you think the whole ecosystem is going to go up by that, amount.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand totally. I'm not going to sit here and act like I've been sitting here only DCAing into EHEX, but I straight up haven't done that at all. I've staked it all out basically since, this split happened and everything. But, yeah, I just don't understand why you would be trying to be so fine with it. That's why we talked about this on last week's show. One of our clips came up the other day on our channel. We both have just talked about we want to own everything in the ecosystem, and I mean like the core four basically, and own them equally. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I've been going about it. I don't know
Hey,
what merch. What's your,
merch
yeah?
by
What's your,
Andy. Can you elaborate on who won a T-shirt?
yeah, I don't know.
I
I'll
got.
take
I,
it.
look,
Oh
I
yeah,
got
there you go.
Read a
I didn't even
crypto
notice.
T-shirt. Yeah,
There you
sporting
go.
with the hex.
There you go.
Yeah,
Represent. Yeah, you got our T-shirt in
represent.
the mail. Does it feel good? Is it
Yeah.
rubbing your nipples too hard or
Oh
anything? Or
no, it's good.
okay,
It's
just okay,
nice and
perfect. Well,
nice and soft.
the fine folks there are doing a good job with the
It's
T-shirts
not
and the.
silk or anything like that, but
Yeah, I hear you.
we'll get
Okay.
by.
That's good. Well, hey, if you guys are here and enjoying the stream so far, do us a favor, smash the like. We very much appreciate it. We do this every single Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't want to harp on this too much. I meant to talk about it earlier in some of our macro stuff, but this past Friday, CPI inflation data came in again a little bit hotter than expected for September, and even with that happening and the market, kind of pulled back that day a little bit. Pretty much nobody anticipates a rate hike on this November the 1st FOMC meeting. So we have two more of those left this year. They're always fun. Jerome Powell is a barrel of laughs. And we have one happening on November the 1st and the other happening on December the 13th. I think we'll probably, hey, we're going into Christmas. Let's not create any drama here, folks. Let's just leave things as is. I don't think we're going to see anything happen at either one of these. But I think we're probably still standing pat with the point that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Ewok, that if anything, we are probably going to see the pivot maybe come a little bit later, deeper into 2024. I don't think means much short term. But next year, we could be heading into like the beginning of the second half of the summer or something as far as when the Fed pivots. But what do you think? Has your opinion changed on that at all?
No, not at all. I agree with you. I think they're going to let it stand for a while. Now, wouldn't it be funny? I was just thinking, wouldn't it be funny if the crypto markets really took off and then the Fed kind of had to pivot to keep up? Wouldn't that be an interesting concept?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess it could happen. Yeah, feasibly.
It could, because I think when they see money going into somewhere and they're not getting a piece of it, may make them change their minds or rethink the strategies at that point. But I don't know, just a thought. It just kind of came to mind. But we still originally had said, I think May or June we would see a pivot, but with the numbers the way they're looking, it could be delayed into August, September now, quite possibly.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll continue to monitor it. Didn't expect to see CPI data come in like that, but hey, a couple of weeks ago, they've gotten a couple pieces of news that they didn't expect to get because they got that, and then they also got that insane jobs report a couple of weeks ago. So, despite their efforts, them wanting to quit doing this stuff, they keeps looking like there's going to be another rate hike sometime next year. So, let's get into some more exciting stuff. So, Richard Hart. He's been feeling himself lately, or whoever is running the Richard Hart Twitter account. We have seen, I know I was just messing with you, but we have seen some crazy tweets, all pretty much centered around the same stuff. But since I believe it was about Friday the 13th last week, lots of really good stuff. The first one, he was basically just calling everybody out, and this is the reason for our pinned tweet tonight as well. But for not taking the time to fill out the IRS and the SEC proposals, just to submit your comments. He and many other people, to their credit, have provided tons of resources for an example of comments that they have submitted to both of these things. You can run it through AI. I have been using that Bing chat one. I think I've been using it for other stuff too. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But you can really get it. I saw, Briz, if you're still here, I saw your tweet today asking it to write it as somebody with a 60 IQ or something like that. I actually thought you wrote it. Like, I thought it was like you were trolling or something. But yeah, I guess AI actually ran it through if you were a dum-dum. Actually, honestly, it sounded okay, other than like the greeting of like, hey, Mr. Gensler or something like that.
Hey, dude.
Yeah, hey, dude. But yeah, otherwise, I thought it was pretty much okay. So maybe I'm just dumb.
But, I think it used the word "ain't" as well.
Oh, did it? Okay, well,
I think so.
Ain't a word. I ain't going to use it. But
ain't.
Check out our pinned, not tweet, whatever I'm trying to say, pinned comment in the chat tonight here, because we have the SEC link in there for you to submit your comments. You can do it anonymously. You don't have to put in your name. You don't have to put in your address. Don't worry about any of that. I put the IRS link in there too. I'll do that again here in a moment, but you can do both of those. But yeah, basically him just imploring people again. This has nothing to do. I mean, it does, but it's not solely to do with HEX, PulseChain, or anything like that. This is for crypto as a whole. There's all this important legislature that hasn't even been thought of yet that they need to create rules on as this market gets, regulated, which is inevitable. So people actually submitting legitimate concerns. I mean, I can't imagine very many people, submitting comments on the other side of this. So people like us and real crypto people, which, who is more real crypto than real DeFi PulseChain, submitting these things is really important in how you impact change. So make sure you guys fill those out. But yeah, what do you think? I mean, RH, he started tweeting about this when there was about 40 days left or something, I want to say, but he's been really passionate about this. What do you make of his kind of barrage of tweets about this?
He understands that, the more people that get involved, the only way we can get involved at this point is to do this. They need to hear from the people. And it's amazing. I've seen a lot of people from other countries say, can we do this too? And, people are absolutely can. When the SEC kind of takes ownership or think that they govern the world, I think it's by all means that anybody should be submitting comments from anywhere, no matter where you are. The one I found interesting, it was treasury raid .lexpunk.army, was an AI tool that you can kind of click your way through it. You don't have to come up with ideas yourselves, and you can you look at the different topics that it gives. You can enter your own if you want, but it lists privacy, identity theft, confusing, too sudden, impact abroad, poorly defined terms, and then go from there. And you can set the tone and then what level of tone that you want. So you can kind of create a couple different versions and crank it up or back it off a little bit depending on really what you say. And that's what I did. I submitted one about the poorly defined terms because they've been so hesitant to define anything and give us any kind of ruling or just definitions of what is what. That's the most important thing, is the way that they don't really want to define anything, because I think they want to group it in later at some point where there's no clarity. So I think that's one of the most concerning things. The privacy and identity theft. Yeah, I mean, if people are collecting info, then that's a good way to get hacked. When you don't have it, you can't lose it. So, again, there's a lot of days left, but even just using one of these tools that are out there, you don't have to be very creative at all to get something sent out. And you can literally do it in under, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes if you actually go back and thoroughly read what it wrote, which I highly recommend, because as good as AI is, there's always going to be some mistakes. So just kind of proofread what it wrote and make sure that it doesn't give an argument against what you're actually arguing for. So
well, I liken it to, not that I ever did this, but I liken it to, if you were in college or something like this, and maybe you used Wikipedia, and I basically was Chat GPT at college. I mean, like, I don't know if you guys have experience with this, but hopping on Wikipedia, maybe paraphrasing something, making it sound different enough. I mean, it's really not different than that. And in a way, I kind of invented AI, I feel. By doing that. But I mean, it is the same thing. You kind of look at what AI spit out, proofread it and everything, maybe tweak it a little bit here and there, whatever you want to do. But it's certainly helpful in things like this. So yeah, absolutely use it. Like to your point, Ewok. I mean, yeah, it's taken me 5 minutes or so. RH Max, what's up, man? It's taken me 5 minutes to submit some of this stuff, just like you said, go around whatever is most important to you, like what point you want to really attack, and just go after it. What do you think about this site that somebody created as well? I had it up the other day. RH tweeted that out too. Just how and
that's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay, that's what you said. Okay, I didn't realize that was the actual URL.
Treasury raid, .lexpunk.army. Here, I'll post it in the.
There you go. Okay, that's why I didn't know. I had no idea that's what it was. So, here we go. You got it in there?
Yep.
There you go. Okay. But yeah, so that, and then RH even referenced too. This was really cool to see. And hey, shout out, not that he needs it from us. I mean, he's the man, but Crypto Coffee has just been on another level right now. I mean, he's been putting stuff out every other day. It sounds like he got his HEX passive income course updated with like PulseChain stuff and everything, which we do have a referral link from back in the day if you guys want to check that out in the description. But he the other day made a great video showing exactly what you do, and I don't know what tool he used in it. I didn't see the whole thing. I don't know if he used that what are the is it like Claudio or something like that?
Claude.ai is what he uses. Yeah.
Okay, so but we've got that, we've got Bing, all these other tools. I know RH tweeted a couple other ones out the other day, but Coffee made that great resource, unbelievably well done. And then I think it was actually when you and I were hanging out the other night, Ewok, but I saw Richard retweeted it then and pointed it out. I mean, man, if you are Coffee, I mean, you have to feel really great about that. And he's just putting out a lot of really good stuff. whether it is kind of like DeFi for starters or something like that, like newbies into the ecosystem, or showing people how to do that. So that has been awesome. And again, Richard's just kind of leaving this as a layup for everybody. Like he had a tweet the other day with like 4 picture boxes that had like examples of every single, anything you could ever want to write, basically. And again, I wouldn't just steal those out of there. I'd run it through AI your own way. But man, there's just all these resources to get it done right now. So what are we at? Down to 12 days, I think, to submit for these?
I believe 12 or 13 days, but obviously you don't want to wait till the last one. And I think the one had expired, but they opened it back up. So,
yes, for comments. Yeah.
That was the IRS one, I believe.
I actually think the SEC one was the one that they opened back up. I'm going to go ahead and put the IRS link back in the chat again right now for everybody.
So on the 13th, Richard said you only have 17 days left. So that's been 5 days. So it looks like we're at 12 days. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Sweet. All right. Well, hey, we have some time left, a little under 2 weeks. So get on it, guys. We put the links in there for you. I'm sure Richard, other people will be retweeting them out as well. So
yeah, I'm sure.
Just be on the lookout for those.
Yep.
Let me see here. So where were we going to go from here with that? I wanted to read. Okay. So this big tweet from him the other day. Now, I think you can derive a lot from this. And hey, call us fanboys, whatever you want. I think it's interesting that we kind of have to, with Richard's tweets right now, read them as if we're deciphering like Pink Floyd lyrics or something. You can sit around with your buddies, light a stove or something like that, and just, talk about what the song Time is all about or whatever you want to here. But looking at this one the other day, this was, I think on Saturday. Yeah. So, all right. Richard means hard ruler. Hart means passionate. Oh, really? Win means dedicated. I don't give up. I win. You've watched the dead bodies of those who thought were smart float on down the river. Mashinsky, SBF, Do Kwon, Suzu, they're all in jail now. And what did they all have in common? I spoke out against all of them publicly, and they didn't like me. Oh, and they took people's money into a common pool with the expectation of profit. It's funny how that works. Critically from their entrepreneurial and managerial effort. This is the opposite of why crypto was invented, of course. I've been begging, and I'm still begging you to hold your own keys to save you. Don't pick up pennies in front of freight trains, yada, yada. Raise 27 million for medical research charity. Now ask yourself, of those that speak ill of me, what are their accomplishments compared to mine? This is always an interesting thing, not just what he's bringing up about him personally, but I think that's true of people in life a lot of times. Like when you hear the haters hate, usually it's like, well, what have you actually done? He goes on to say, how are they spending their time now? And are they fighting for your rights? Are they educating you? Did they give it all away for free? Where's their free self-help books? Where's their millions raised by charity? Where's their free and open source software? Talks about Satoshi there for a bit. Let's see here. By the way, what if BTC was going down in part because people were selling spot to buy discounted Grayscale shares? The discount to NAV is now less than half it was months ago. Another example of centralization at work. Imagine how much happier the BTC price and the environment would be if mining didn't require so much money be handed to the power company had a couple chip manufacturers. PulseChain solves this, of course. What should you be focused on? Writing relevant comments as he returns to it again to propose rules, robustness from attack, privacy, being ready for the end of the bear market. That is an interesting thing that he said, being ready for the end of the bear market. We are better than those that attack us in our words and our works. We will win, which was probably the most interesting point. So when he says we will win, Ewok, what's he talking about? Is he talking about crypto as a whole? He's saying Wogmai basically for all of us. So yeah, what do you make of that? Why is he saying we will win?
Well, if people get band together and do some of these things, and when everybody gets together and works as a group, we become so powerful. It's one of the things why the government always tries to create diversion and make you choose a side. When people are fighting amongst themselves, they don't gather together to go up against them. And what Richard's basically saying is if you all pull together and do this for a common cause, we'll win. You know, I don't think there's a whole lot of question there about what he means. Is we're better than those who attack us. So,
Right.
you know, the other thing that he says was about to be ready. Where was it? Being ready for the end of the bear market leads me to
Right.
believe we're not quite there yet. You know, or I think, you know, Richard's the type of guy where he would call the bottom, I believe. Um, Although, you
Boy,
know,
you
the
missed it, I
bottom,
guess.
well, the bottom was 15, unless he happens to go below that, you
Hmm.
know, which is highly unlikely, but I guess there's always a black swan event that could put it there. But
Right.
yeah, we're not out of it yet anyway, is what he's saying there. But I think this summarizes it enough to say, listen, you guys all need to come together, no matter what team you're on, and fight against the people that are trying to attack us. So
Right. I think he's generally broadly saying the end of the bear market. I mean, I to me that's a signal of like I don't think that means like a new low is coming in his mind or anything. I think he's just saying that like this is it basically. This window of time,
yeah,
this quarter basically, which I think we've all kind of agreed on here for a while.
sure,
That'll be it basically. And what we mean by that is really like the overall bearish trend. I mean, yeah, the low was almost a year ago now with the FTX stuff for Bitcoin anyway. So yeah, this sentiment I think is going to go out the window here as we turn the page to a new year. Everybody knows it's the Bitcoin halving year, and historically, the final quarter, the year before Bitcoin halving, has been your final chance to ride that elevator up. So I mean, I think I said last week, I mean, I've been operating at, the lowest amount of everyday funds that I can possibly have right now just to
yeah,
get everything into the market at this moment. Yeah. What do we got for
yeah.
Mr. Chinks?
Your dollar cost averaging very wisely, and you've been very strict on yourself about it, and I commend you for that. You know,
You talking to me or Mr. Chinks?
I'm talking about you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah, I
What did
know.
Mr. Chinks say here?
Well, he says this ecosystem is a long play, just like the early BTC holders still holding. Hex is better than Bitcoin, Pulse is better than ETH, and Pulse X is way better than Uni,
That's for sure.
which I completely agree with. You know, that's one thing that we haven't really brought up is and I don't even know if it was on our topic list about how Uniswap, man, they're
Another
bending at the
fee.
knee for all these people. They're adding fees. And you know damn well if someone tells them to add a little bit of regulation or KYC, they'll do it in a heartbeat. So
Let's talk about that. You're right. It
yeah,
wasn't on our board, but yeah, you're totally right. I mean, like the Uniswap, like the cancel Uniswap thing that our ecosystem or our community kind of had going when they unlisted Hex from the front end of whatever month or two ago.
yeah,
That wasn't just like for show. I mean, like they are really ramping out the selling out of everything that they pretended to stand for. I mean, they
yeah,
are so they didn't even they're never going to activate the fee to switch that actually like pays out like a buy and burn like Pulse X does. So that's never going to happen. They just implemented a new fee that they're going to basically collect.
yep,
They are treading. They're really not DeFi at all anymore. I mean, like they're treading into the waters of, like you just said, KYC. They're having meetings with SEC and government members and things like that. They're going to be a casualty big time of this coming bull market. The Uni token is useless. I mean, there's really no reason for it to exist. It's a useless
right.
governance token. What do you think the world of basically what was DeFi in the last bull market that is starting to decline in the way of DeFi? Where do these products go? Like Uniswap, MetaMask, we've talked about it as a wallet for a long time now and how they're caving into things. We all know that, what is it, Infura? Is it Infura? Is that,
Yeah,
yeah. What is it? JP Morgan and Chase actually owns that, or who actually,
I believe you're right.
yeah. So we know that old school players have their hands in this pie, cake,
Yep.
spaghetti, whatever.
Y-
So what do you think is going to happen to these entities, specifically those two, Uniswap and MetaMask, two tools that we used big time in the last bull market? I mean, yeah, we're probably still using MetaMask, I think, for the most part, but I haven't used Uniswap in a while now, really. So where do you think they go? I mean, what do they look like in 3 years from now? I
Well,
don't know.
the good thing is we have options. Open source software is a wonderful thing. We have other methods to trade, and that's why, I think PulseChain is way more decentralized than Ethereum. But you go back to the one thing you said. What's it look like? Well, Bitcoin was invented to get rid of the middlemen. So what do all these people do is start injecting more middlemen. They kind of like it, I think. So I don't know, for a lot of the people that have been around a long time, you would think that they would, stand by the morals of Bitcoin and say, we don't want this, but apparently people do. And not speaking for myself, I prefer to have my privacy and not have to, pay extra fees that aren't necessary. So, I think they'll both do okay. Honestly, I don't think it's really going to hurt them as much. But for the people that want the options to have their privacy and to be able to transact without somebody watching what we're doing, you have those options too. So that's why PulseChain was invented again. And I think it's going to take some time, but the people that really appreciate that privacy and true DeFi will eventually come over. This is going to be an interesting cycle for it, because I think there's a lot of people that may still not even know about it. It's going to take some time for this to grow. It's building, the community itself has been building within it. And then I think once people come over and see what's there, they're going to be thoroughly impressed. I really think so. It's a matter of getting the word out. And that's what you and I, and that's what we're all trying to do, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons why we started streaming, was to talk about the things that we really like. And hopefully somebody hears it. And I'm not a developer or a builder, but this is one of the ways that we can contribute. And I think everybody in the chat can contribute, and anybody listening, tell a friend, man. Now's when you want people to be getting in. Don't wait till it's all green candles and they're buying the tops, and then you've got to deal with, what we've been going through for how many months of people that bought the top and are suffering through at prices that are way down from where they bought. So, talk to your friends, talk to your family. Family sometimes is a hard sell, unfortunately.
They're pretty dumb usually.
Yeah, they don't listen to you; they'll listen to somebody else. But but definitely talk to your friends, and even if they don't listen, go move on. Somebody will listen to you. Even complete strangers. Sometimes you have a better luck onboarding a complete stranger than you do somebody that knows you. It's weird how that works out.
I think you're right about that. Yeah.
I know it's true with a lot of things, but crypto is another one. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I think they'll both survive. I think they're fine. And it just kind of gives options to those that want to have the privacy. It's there.
It does make sense that as these things, mature and are the longer that they're in this market, you start to see narratives like this where it's like, okay, this is the end of their run. Like, not saying, and I agree with you. I think they're both still going to be there. I have more faith in, I don't have a real reason to use Uniswap right now. So, whatever, but I have more faith in MetaMask, being something that's there that people, MetaMask is kind of becoming like what Band-Aid the brand is to Band-Aids, or what Coke is to soda. It's just like, if you have an ETH wallet, which you kind of have to if you're coming into crypto, people are getting MetaMask. It's just the way it is. So they kind of have that, I don't know if you want to call it first mover advantage, maybe best mover advantage. So yeah, I still think they're going to be there. But remember, this is something people don't understand. And there may be people watching this stream, or that have been in the stream at some point tonight, that don't understand this. I think we got a comment on it a few weeks ago. We talked about Ewok, but somebody asked a question of, what do I do with my HEX stakes if MetaMask gets compromised, or if they cease to exist anymore, or whatever? How do I recover my HEX stakes? That's a great example of how some people don't understand how blockchain actually works, because the seed words in your head or in wherever you decide to put them. Those are what get you access to your HEX or whatever tokens you have, not anything to do with MetaMask. They may have populated those seed words to you at the beginning, but you're the one that holds those, and you can get that back through any wallet. So I think we're going to have a lot of education still over this cycle and stuff. And to your point about like onboarding new people right now, I think that we still are in a place, and I'm not like discouraging people from onboarding, but maybe start by looking at people that have a shitty life that I'm not saying to like go bail them out, but seriously, I mean, a lot of people get into crypto and things like this because they have a bit of a freak flag that they're flying. I mean, I think we're all a little freakish in here, which I wear proudly. That's fine with me. But I think, to get into this, you may have had like something happen in your life or had some kind of a struggle, or you're at least a unique individual, so, maybe don't onboard like grandpap or whatever, but, Uncle Ron or whoever, maybe he's had a weird go of it and he would be open to it, and that's just my thing, is I think you have to kind of vet these people, because the other thing you don't want is like, I don't want somebody that never has the right mindset to get into anything that I recommend when I know they're just going to be doomed. Like if they're sitting there thinking that they're going to get a return the next day, stupid camera falls off again. If they're sitting there thinking they're going to get a return the next day or not have a mind for markets, then it's like, hey, you make your own decision on this. I'll just let you know about it. So,
Yep. No, I agree. And so I do want to touch back on what you said about people not understanding crypto and what wallets are.
Sure.
The wallet is just the keychain. Those keys, the seed phrase that you have, is the keys to show you what's on the blockchain at that address. So the wallet doesn't hold crypto. The wallet is just a front end to show you what you have access to on the blockchain. So you can use those seed words in any wallet. You could plug them into Aurochs wallet or Internet Money, or Rabby as another one, RABBI, that I've heard fantastic things about. So, I haven't switched anything over from MetaMask yet myself, but that would probably be the one that I would try. I've heard Internet Money still hasn't fixed the front end part where they allow Wallet Connect to work with the HEX stakes, unfortunately, because it was a product made by someone in the community. It's not really their fault though, because the Wallet Connect forced some sort of update. I was reading, somebody was attacking the guys from Internet Money, and Alex actually came to their defense and said, yo, wait, hang on, this isn't their fault. The guy, Wallet Connect forced an update which caused this to not work anymore. So, kudos to him for sticking up for people in the community that trying to do right, trying to build things. So, let's take it easy and not attack when people are trying to do the right thing. So anyway.
Yeah, KG, creator, or at least partial creator of Internet Money, awesome guy. Every stream that I've seen him on seems like a really great, legit guy. So kudos to him for making another good product out there. I want to finish off with this. I postponed this topic for a couple of weeks. You and I brought it up by one of our fireside chats there a few weeks ago. But I do wonder this, and I think it's an apt question, especially with EHEX just printing a godlike candle here the last couple of days. Do you think that people will, or when do you think they will, realize again and think about the value of HEX and locking it up and having a smart contract that prints you new HEX tokens over the course of a time that you choose? If you so choose, you don't have to use it that way. You can just hold the token, of course. But people that are already in this ecosystem, obviously the excitement is all around the layer one. It's all around PulseChain. It's all around PulseX, although I don't know how many people that has certainly waned since launch, but I mean, it's catching back up. Actually, PulseX has been primarily what I had been DCAing into here the last couple of weeks when it got to its most bearish. But we know that people are like more excited about those. I mean, there's people everywhere, I'm not trying to split anybody. Everybody invests however you want to invest. But, there's OG hexagons that were really kind of not, intrigued by the ideas Richard Hart talked about, not just in crypto, but also the delaying of gratification idea, which I love as well. I employ it with like a lot of aspects of my life. But what about like new people coming to this? I mean, like say what you want. I mean, I think because of the fact that there is a new ecosystem led by PulseChain, we don't have as many like Crispy Man, for example, Crispy Man's out there as maybe we did a few years ago. And, you guys may know, I mean, his streams are usually focused on like Hex, T-share rate, Hex stats, basically really into the thick of it with Hex staking and emergency in stake data and all kinds of stuff like that. Matty Allen, of course, talks a lot about that. He does his time pay me project with Pulse itself. Do you think we're going to get people back into this market with a little bit less advertising, I think, just for straight Hex? Because, hey, if you want to say, guilty of it too. I mean, like, we have a whole ecosystem to talk about here. Now, you and I, of course, both stake Hex, long and short term. But yeah, I guess what I'm asking is there going to be interest and focus back on Hex again and on this idea in a crazy volatile market like we have in crypto of staking long term, especially, and I'll give you one more caveat, even though we have EHEX pumping right now, if you look at just that chart from the top to the bottom, it's hard to look at it and be like, oh yeah, I'll do this for 15 years. You know what I mean? To like a new person coming in, even though, hey, we're in that already. There's no stopping it. I mean, we're staked out. So yeah, but I know I threw a lot at you there, but will people come back to the delay gratification mechanism? I don't know if people will come back streaming about just Hex as much, frankly, just because, we got this whole ecosystem. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
There's so much to talk about. There's a lot of things, but I think the true RH Max, I know you're in the chat, but the RH Max people are going to always talk about this Hex staking, the share rate, how it always goes up and it never goes down. As the green candles come, people are going to want a place to park their money. I don't know if we'll see a lot of 5555s. It's a long time. If Richard comes back streaming, one of his big things that he would always say is, imagine the people in Bitcoin, if they had a mechanism to lock them up and save them from all these downturns, look where they would be. Just one stake. Imagine if you had several thousand Bitcoin locked up that you couldn't touch without penalty. You would be pretty thankful for it, I think. So I think they will come back to it. Maybe not in the, like I said, the sense of the long stakers. But I think people should be throwing one or two of them out there. Why not? As we adopt more people, I think that number will go up. It's just going to be by a lot more people. It's not going to be like, all right, Ewok's got 35 5555s out there. You know what I mean? Right. It's not. I mean, I probably do, but
you probably do. You probably have like 78.
Well, I've got a bunch.
Okay.
I have a. I'll be flat out honest.
You don't have to do this.
I have a 5555 at the first of every month. And I will continuously put one out there. And if I'm not around, my kids will be, so they'll be the ones that benefit from it. So, yeah. I just think that it's hard not to. It's hard not to delay the gratification and just what if, I'm okay if it even stays the same. The amount of Hex that it makes every day. And that number will only go up too. The payout per T-share, it seems to be going up, probably doubles every 3 or 4 years, I would think, based on the chart that has shown from the beginning. I think there's nothing wrong with that. So, to each his own, and how I guess everybody's time frame is a lot different, and how quickly they want that gratification. For me, I'm willing to put it off to pay off down the road. And I have some other smaller ones too. So, I mean, I'm not completely just drained because everything is staked out so far that I can't touch it. It's a
Right.
combination of both. And I think you need a good balance. I think everybody's wallet should have a balance of some short term, some medium term, and some long term. I honestly think that's the best way to go, because again, you go back to that whole what if scenario. What if it does take off? What if it is actually better than Bitcoin, like we've been saying all this time? And what if the price performance shows it? You might kick yourself for not having one of those 555s earning you, all this time.
Well, that's kind of why, you just basically described a staking ladder. That's why people do that. That's why,
Yeah,
you can hedge your bets by, if you want to keep some liquid and not stake all of it, that's totally fine. I basically got in a place eventually where it was like, with this ecosystem growing, with wanting to own PulseChain and PulseX and stuff like that too. I just started to get comfortable with staking out all of my HEX, even if some of it was in the short term, and by that I don't mean like months, I mean like a year basically. When you're kind of, if you want to try to, I think getting into timing the whole market cycle thing is a bit of a game of chicken, obviously. But if you want to do it with a few different stakes and just place your bets, like, well, I think like the beginning of the end of the bull market window, worst case scenario would be like a year from now, like fall 2024. I think we're probably good for a
yeah,
whole other year after that. But if I just want to make sure that I'm definitely liquid at the top, maybe I'll just stake it out till then. And hey, especially on PulseChain, there's nothing wrong with a year-long stake.
right.
I mean, especially like the higher the principal, you're going to get the that bonus, whatever I'm trying to say. Bigger pays better, whatever. And then you're also insured pretty much that you're not going to have to pay $1,000 to unstake it or anything.
Right.
So, you have that in
Well,
mind too. So, yeah.
and on top of that, don't forget, if you stake it for at least a year, which I do recommend, I wouldn't go
Hmm.
shorter than that, only because, and I'm not a accountant or anything like that, or a tax person, but anything over a year doesn't pay short-term gains. They pay long-term capital gains, which is at a lower
Right.
rate. So you
Right.
do want to keep that in mind, as well as you don't want to do, a 30-day rolling stake like that, because those are subject to short-term capital gains, which are
We call that
taxed
a
at a
bank X stake. That's
yeah,
called a bank X
yeah.
stake. Yeah.
I mean, if you've got that kind of money, it doesn't matter a whole lot, but
Hmm.
that is something that you do want to think about. So, just add that in there.
Yeah. Yeah, but it will be interesting. I am interested to see like what is the thing. I mean, we know that AI is going to be a trend of this upcoming bull market in all markets probably, but I want to see when all of retail comes back into the crypto, like what the big thing is going to be. Last time it was monkey JPEGs and stuff like that. What is it going to be this time? I mean, maybe they'll be more responsible and want something like a longer time horizon and eventually want to store crypto long term. But I don't know about you, Ewok, but when I speak to any of my like normie friends, the last one that I did, actually a couple, I can say, actually you were part of this. I think you saw this conversation, but I spoke to one about a year ago that basically like, well, I dabbled a little bit at the top of the last bull market and bought like some ETH, and it's just like sitting staked, whatever that means, on Coinbase right now. And I was like, oh boy. Like, and I consider him to be like the average guy who delved a little bit into crypto last bull market. And then another one was like purely when I brought up something about crypto on another social media platform, he responded just talking about NFTs. And he's like, I can't understand how I could be in this long term. I bought some NFTs last time around and they all are down like 98%. And I'm just like, that's not really, I mean, I'm not bashing NFTs. I mean, if you were to buy NFTs or whatever, that's fine. But that's not really like, people still have this lottery ticket mentality with crypto, even if
Yep.
they're buying like ETH, apparently, which to us is like a grandfather, allocation of the portfolio. So yeah, maybe that will end as the volatility lessens, but even Bitcoin for the average investor is like super volatile, even though it's been a year and we've done nothing here. Almost,
Yeah.
well, a little less than a year, but
Well, there is some
yeah.
speculation too, and I've heard. I know Randy talks about this a lot, and some of the stuff Randy talks about, I don't really put a whole lot of faith into with some of the weird cycles. But there is speculation that this could be one of the last big bullish cycles as well, only because once all this institutional money gets involved, BlackRock, Vanguard, all these other ones, it could be a lot less volatile, and it wouldn't be like a super bear cycle. So, some have speculated that this could be the last big bear market run up, and after this, things don't dip as bad and kind of, even out a little bit. So there's always that too. Is we don't know, but we want to take advantage of it while we can. And again, DCAing right now and talking to friends, whatever, help them out. You want to have rich friends with you when you get rich too. So
yeah, just make sure you pick the ones that aren't like douchebags and stuff like
exactly.
that. So yeah,
people that you like now, you'll like later.
Exactly. And hey, none of you guys in the chat are douchebags here tonight. So hey, we appreciate all you guys being here. Smash the like if you've been watching. We do this every single Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When you hit like, when you comment to our channel, anybody who streams about this stuff, that you support PulseChain, HEX, this ecosystem, boost it up in the algorithm and lets people know that this is what you are interested in and that you're into real DeFi, which is what this ecosystem actually is, with so little actual DeFi products out there these days. So be sure to check out that pinned comment. Go to the SEC page. Submit your comments there. Submit the ones for the IRS. There's plenty of examples from Richard Hart and other people on Twitter that you can check out. So please do so. DM us. We could help you out with it as well, whatever you want to do. But we really appreciate you guys. Ewok, did you have any other final thoughts for this evening?
No, just we appreciate everyone that comes in, says hello. I see a lot of streamers. Axis just showed up. We do appreciate it. You guys, mean a lot to us, and we like to put your name out there too. So when we see good things from you, by all means, we like to pass people your way too. So we appreciate it. Yeah, much appreciated, guys. RH Max, Axis Alive. I think Briz was in here tonight. So yeah, shout out to you guys. Philly, who else was in here tonight? I'm sorry to forget names, but we appreciate everybody stopping in tonight. We will see you again next Wednesday. That's October the 25th. We've got the spooky season upon us. What are you guys going to be for Halloween? Drop that in the chat too, if you're the dress up type. Anyway, we will catch you guys next week right here on the Creed of Crypto podcast. See you guys.